Welcome to Media Melanie Talks TV. I'm Melanie, and today I'm back to talk about Paradise on Hulu, Season 1, Episode 8, the finale, The Man Who Kept the Secrets. This season of television has been something very special. Episode 7 itself was just so perfect in so many different ways. And then to go into episode 8, get that first 10 minutes, which was so This Is Us coded, between the progression from joy to utter tragedy, the flashbacks, adding in the context of what happened, and really letting us know who this man is who is keeping the secrets. In the last episode, I was asking myself that question: who is the man who kept the secrets? Are we talking about Cal? Are we talking about his dad or Xavier or somebody else? Well, now we know that it was in fact the project manager from the initial build of this bunker in Colorado. There was a toxicity issue, and he, of course, wanted to do the right thing, get his workers out of there once this was discovered, but instead they lock him out, they keep those workers there. Eventually they're going to get sick, they're going to die, like he references within this episode. You know, there's bodies buried here and people need to know about it. We saw flashes of Bradford Industries being sued for defamation over this site, and this guy is trying to shout to the masses and let people know, hey, there is this project going on, this bunker being built for all of the wealthy people. Something is coming. It's going to be dangerous. Nobody listened to him. So what did he do? He printed a 3D gun and tried to assassinate the president. He was unsuccessful the first time. He went to jail. And of course, his interest in assassinating Cal was definitely reignited down in that mountain bunker. It seems like he and Maggie went there under false pretenses, obviously, and started liking life there. I mean, what's not to like, of course, when you're coming out of the worst prison in the country after trying to assassinate the president? And something I kept asking myself too is really, like, how did Cal not recognize him? We've got a lot to dive into with this episode, but before we get more into it, please go ahead, hit the like button for this video and the subscribe button for my channel. And I'd also just like to thank everybody who's been here for this Paradise journey: Dan Fogelman, Sterling K. Brown, James Marsden, everybody in this show. I started this season by comparing it to Silo and all these other dystopian shows, but this really has set itself apart from an emotional standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, creating these twists and backstories that I really, truly don't think that many of us did see coming. And if you saw it coming, please drop a comment and let me know. You might be one of the smartest people in the entire world. I mean, I guess there was some background suspicion, and once we heard that the DNA didn't match anybody in the bunker, I'm like, how did somebody sneak in? Of course, it makes sense that they stole somebody else's identity. And that poor couple in the car, by the way, I mean, I get it. It's the end of the world. They want to believe this guy and go off with him to some secret path, but yikes, that was not the right choice. And their decision to go off with him caused all of this backlash and eventually the assassination of Cal Bradford. I'd also just like to shout out the music in the show in general, and especially this episode. It opened up with a song called Long As I Can See the Light live by Ted Hawkins. It was so melancholy the way it was woven into those first 10 minutes of the show. And then throughout, we had Just Another Day in Paradise, that cover going. It just sets the tone and the score. Even in that first 10 minutes, the way Dan Fogelman uses music as a device, as a tool to get us invested emotionally, move the story forward. The man is a television genius, and Paradise really proves that. I mean, I loved This Is Us, but Paradise has grown on me each episode as it went. I loved it more and more. And then we got to episode 7, and I'm just like, I love this show. Now we hit the finale, and I can't stop talking about it. My friends are texting me. They didn't see it coming. I just am so excited to see where season 2 goes. Will it be all on the surface? Will we get a blend of surface content and underneath content? I do feel like it might be a similar formula to what Silo season 3 will look like. But as I said, they are two completely different shows, so it's okay. So I did reference the man who kept the secrets was this librarian, the guy who tried to assassinate the president, went to jail, was trying to alert the media, but it also refers to the book in the library. We finally got answers on that number that Cal wrote on that cigarette box. And we saw him scrawling that X on there as well, which was for Xavier. I didn't catch that X before. I don't know if anybody else did, but now we know the number was referring to the good old Dewey Decimal System. It led Xavier to the library to go and find that book that had all of Cal's notes in it, including that there could be 55 million survivors. He wrote down some stats on temperatures and weather and what's going on the surface, different locations, and most importantly, how to exit this bunker. Our librarian friend, of course, gets his hands on it, but unfortunately, he is cornered by Robinson and Cal and ends up jumping out of this sky. By the way, the scaffolding, that set design, I think was really interesting, the way that it looked visually, but also just the principle of a body crashing through this fake sky scaffolding, literally like into somebody's roof and house. How crazy is that? And it reminds us that, yes, they are underground because otherwise it does seem like it's this idyllic community. They've done a really great job. A lot of that due to Gabriella, the architect of social well-being, and my girl Gabby. I kind of went back and forth with her throughout the season thinking, you know what? I'm clocking her as a bad guy. I think that she could actually be more behind things. But you know what? She was not. She really is actually a good person and got quite angry at her buddy Sinatra for filming her and Xavier in the shower. That does allow Robinson to come back over to her, and at least, she's able to kind of help the investigation. She realizes, oh, wow, okay, looking at this file, hey, this waitress Maggie, she should have an EpiPen, but the girl's out there eating cashew cheese fries. So they, of course, go and confront her, and eventually we, as viewers, come to realize that Maggie did, in fact, enter with our assassin/librarian. And the way that he disguised himself, by the way, shaving his head in the back like that, making him have the appearance of being an older bald man, I did not recognize him. Just the way he was able to fashion that disguise and the way at the gate where he was faking this asthma/anxiety attack just to get ushered right through. I will tell you, that gate attendant, that was a big mistake, and that led to all of this chaos in paradise. But I do have hopes that next season things will get better. From that CD that Cal recorded for his son Jeremy, he said something like, "We are the people we love, so I am you, son, and you are me." And I think that Cal is hoping Jeremy can pick up the pieces, become a leader, and try to fix things that Cal was not able to fix. And one of the saddest things I think in all of this is Cal was the target because, of course, yes, he was the president of the United States. He was part of Bradford Industries, but unfortunately, our guy who tried to kill him didn't realize he was a puppet the entire time. And yeah, he can kill him. He was the figurehead, and that makes a statement. But unfortunately, Cal was actually a good guy, and he didn't realize on Doomsday that, Cal's the one out there trying to make a realistic address to the country, to be a real leader, to let people know and tell them the truth. I do think if Trent had that knowledge, then, perhaps he wouldn't have gone after him. And really, he was settling in very nicely into paradise. So it's almost like it didn't have to happen, but he did need to follow through. And now everything just makes sense, right? The flower on the back of the shirt from that worker's uniform. I do think it was interesting he decided to don that as his killer attire. And I love how Cal was able to think last minute and write that number down on that cigarette for Xavier. So everything could come together very nicely. They did a really great job creating a mystery that was very difficult to solve. The way things ended for Sinatra and Jane, are you even kidding me? I thought for sure she was going to take Presley out and we were going to have to watch Xavier go through that loss after he already seemingly lost his wife, Terry. The fact that Jane did not kill her and then went to shoot Sinatra in the throat to put her in a coma over a Nintendo Wii. The way at the end she's just sitting there playing Wii tennis, the way Xavier thinks she's a hero and saved the day when really she might be one of the coldest, most evil people besides Sinatra down there in paradise. Everybody should be worried about Jane. Presley had no idea she was being held captive. The way Jane played that was so smart and so calculated. I am very curious to see what our girl's future is down here in paradise and what nefarious thing she is going to have up her sleeve next. Will people find out that Jane is in fact quite the big bad here? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait for season 2. I will say in general, there is the need to suspend disbelief just a little bit, right? The fact that our guy, after trying to kill the president, does just happen to end up at the worst prison in Colorado and then is able to successfully get out when stuff starts to hit the fan, the riots happen. He's able to just put on a guard's uniform and leave and make his way to the bunker. I mean, for me, that was the only part. I was like, okay, I mean, I get it. We have to move this story forward. So, we have to make that happen. So quite a bit of coincidence built in there. And I'm okay with that because the fact that we got him to paradise also seems like just an amazing, epic voyage. And this guy is somebody who was also trying to do the right thing. And that's where a lot of this irony comes in, right? Because Cal was also trying to do the right thing. He wanted to let people know that people were dying while they were getting their hands dirty, doing all this hard work for these billionaires. He loved this guy, Adam, and the fact that poor Adam was going to be dying at the end and it didn't really matter and it was too late, that crushed me and broke my heart. The effort that this man expended to let the world know, just like Cal was trying to do, two opposite ends of the spectrum. And, it didn't matter. Even if people had listened to him, it sounds so far-fetched. Yeah, we're going to get this giant tsunami and we're building a secret bunker in a mountain in Colorado. I mean, it sounds like a pretty wild type of conspiracy theory, but now I know if I hear something like that in today's real world, I'm going to think, you know what? That person could be onto something and maybe give them a little credence. But unfortunately, for top secret government billionaire projects, I think those will always be under wraps, and anybody who's trying to out or shine a light on things like that will always be somehow taken down. Just one of my favorite parts of this entire show, though, was Sterling K. Brown. He is such a goat. The way when he thought his daughter died and he got down and he was crying, he was dejected thinking, wow, my family's falling apart here. And then he comes up like a complete badass and puts a gun on Sinatra. And yeah, Jane does come in and save the day. But we got Xavier in so many different forms in this season. We have Dad Xavier, Secret Service Xavier, Husband Xavier, Xavier on the last day of the world trying to save his family, Xavier trying to defend his daughter's honor and legacy when he thought that she was not alive, Xavier in that steamy shower scene with his clothes off looking just absolutely gorgeous. I'm covering another show, School Spirits, on Paramount Plus. There was a really nice bun shot from Milo Manheim in one of the recent episodes, and I just don't mind seeing nice butts on TV shows, so I'm just putting that out there as a side note. Nice buns, Sterling. Really like what you got going there. And what's going to happen next in Paradise in general? We saw quite a bit of discord among the billionaires, and the president is finally like, hey, everybody, just be quiet. I do think that all of this conflict and strife will perhaps give an opportunity for Jeremy Bradford to somehow step in, be a man of the people. And will this result in people wanting to go to the surface, or will they try to keep people down there? With this information out there, it is very interesting, and especially now that we have Xavier actually leaving, getting on an airplane, pressing the buttons, going to take Terry home. I am getting goosebumps even talking about it. This man is a complete hero, and I can't wait to see surface level Xavier content and see what he goes through. Who's he going to meet along the way? Who are they going to cast in season 2? And speaking of casting, I am devastated because I don't know if we're going to get any more Cal James Marsden content. What a phenomenal character he played from top to bottom. Yeah, you know what? He was a lackey for his dad, but he was a good man, and I will never forget episode 7, Cal. That was one of the best episodes of television, and I think many of us could agree that we all need a leader like Cal Bradford who wants to do the right thing and make those hard decisions. I keep going back to that. not every leader in power in this world would do that, and it's probably a very fictionalized portrayal because, let's face it, the powers that be never want the president to go on TV and tell people to say goodbye to their loved ones because, yeah, it's going to cause a lot of problems. But at the same time, don't we all deserve that opportunity? I mean, would you rather know and be able to say goodbye and I love you to the people you care about? Or would you rather just all of a sudden be taken down in some sort of nuclear blast or overcome by a tsunami wave? Tough decision, right? Either way, you're going to die. But for me, I want to tell the people I love how much I love them and how much they meant to me in my living days. Now that we know how season 1 ends, we've got Sinatra in the hospital in a coma. Jane's out there playing her Wii tennis. Nothing to see here. No big deal. Presley is alive. Xavier is going out on the surface with the blessing of his daughter. Of course, she wants him to go and bring her mom home as well. There is the political discord, but we also have Jeremy Bradford emerging as this maybe pseudo type of leader. So what are we going to get in season 2? We know it is definitely coming. It's already renewed. I do hope they give us a nice blend of what's going on in the bunker and what's going on the surface. Dan Fogelman has kind of said, it'll be the same, but it'll be different. There'll be different characters to focus on. But I do hope we get to keep seeing what's going on below the surface. Of course, we have to, right? I mean, our girl Sinatra is in a coma. Like, that's a pretty big deal. We've got Jane to contend with. They're going to have to do some repairs up in that billionaire sky after our friend dropped down and killed himself. Overall, I loved this season of television. And yeah, it got off to a little bit of a slow start for me. If you've been watching from the beginning, you will remember I was comparing it to these other dystopian shows, but Dan Fogelman has really emerged as doing dystopian differently. I think he's done a phenomenal job. I love the way he put this story together, brought it all full circle. And honestly, the first 10 minutes of this episode just were everything to me. It felt so different, yet so inherently woven into this story at the same time. That is magic right there. This is television magic. I would love to know everybody's high point, low point, favorite storyline. Drop some comments and tell me what you thought about Paradise Season 1, what you're looking forward to most in Season 2, and I will most definitely be here to cover it. So thanks for everybody who has stuck with me on this Paradise journey. Let's all give all of this cast and Dan Fogelman a big round of applause because you know what? They deserve it. And I'm hoping they pick up some wins during award season because you know what? They at least deserve some nominations here. This is going to do it for my Paradise coverage, although I will probably come back once we get more news on production and what's happening with Season 2. I am still covering Severance on Apple TV+. The Season 2 finale of School Spirits on Paramount Plus airs this week, so I'm going to be talking about that. And I'm covering The White Lotus on HBO Max as well. I've got some other great shows planned to cover this year, so if you like videos like this where I talk about different TV shows, please go ahead, like this video, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will be back again soon. Media Melanie, clicking off.